Jack Morrison stepped off the transport shuttle with a single bag over his shoulder and 35 years of starship engineering experience behind him. New Geneva Station buzzed with activity around him as traders and travelers moved through the main docking bay. The massive space station rotated slowly to provide gravity, and Jack could feel the familiar hum of massive engines through the deck plates beneath his feet. At 58 years old, Jack had decided he was done crawling through cramped engine compartments and fixing broken hyperdrive systems in the middle of nowhere. His retirement fund was modest, but enough to start something small and peaceful. He wanted a simple repair shop, where he could work with his hands without the pressure of keeping entire crews alive in deep space. Jack made his way through the crowded corridors of the commercial district. Bright signs advertised automated repair services and high-tech diagnostic centers. These modern shops looked efficient, but cold. Jack preferred the old ways, where a mechanic could feel what was wrong with a machine and fix it with skill, rather than just replacing parts. In the lower levels of the station, Jack found what he was looking for. The commercial district here was older and quieter. Many shops stood empty, with dusty windows and faded signs. Rent was cheaper here, because most customers preferred the flashier upper levels. One shop caught his attention. The sign read, Zara Technical Services, in faded letters. Through the grimy window, Jack could see workbenches covered with tools and equipment he recognized from his early days as an apprentice. Some of the machinery looked even older than that. A bell chimed when Jack pushed open the door. The shop smelled of metal and oil and honest work. An elderly alien female looked up from a workbench, where she was trying to repair what looked like a navigation computer from a cargo hauler. Zara was Eltarian, with the characteristic silver-blue skin of her people. Forearms moved with practiced precision as she worked. Her large dark eyes showed the tiredness that came from too many years of struggling to make ends meet. When she spoke, her voice carried the musical accent of her homeworld. "Can I help you, human?" Zara asked, without much hope in her voice. Jack could see she expected him to look around and leave, like most customers did these days. "I am looking for a business to buy," Jack said simply. "A repair shop where I can work with my hands and maybe help people fix things that matter to them." Zara set down her tools and studied Jack more carefully. She had been trying to sell the shop for months, but most potential buyers wanted to tear it down and build something modern. "You were serious about this?" Jack nodded and looked around the shop. The equipment was old but well maintained. The tools showed the wear of constant use, but had been cared for properly. "How long have you run this place?" 23 years, Zara replied. "My husband and I started it together. He passed 5 years ago, and I have been trying to keep it going alone. But customers want the new automated services. They do not trust the old ways anymore." "The old ways work," Jack said firmly. "A good mechanic can diagnose problems that computers miss. Sometimes you need to feel how a machine runs and listen to what it tells you." Zara smiled for the first time since Jack had entered. "You understand. But I am getting too old for this work, and my health is not what it used to be. The medical bills are expensive, and I cannot afford to keep the shop much longer." Jack walked through the shop examining the equipment. Most of it was from an era when things were built to last, rather than to be replaced. He recognized tools and machines that modern mechanics had forgotten how to use. "What are you asking for the shop?" Zara named a price that was less than half what Jack had expected to pay. She saw his surprise and explained quickly, "I know, it is not worth much anymore. The location is not good, and the equipment is outdated. But I hope someone will keep it as a working shop rather than tear it down." "The equipment is not outdated," Jack corrected her. "It is experienced. These machines know how to work, and they can teach someone who is willing to learn." They spent the next hour going through the inventory. Zara showed Jack every piece of equipment and explained its history. Some tools had been in her family for generations. Others she and her husband had built themselves when they could not afford to buy what they needed. In the back corner of the shop, Zara stopped at a heavy metal door. "There is one thing I should tell you about." This storage room has been sealed since before my husband and I bought the shop. The previous owner said it contained old equipment, but he never gave us the access codes. Jack examined the door. It was made of some kind of composite metal he did not recognize. The locking mechanism looked advanced, but used a design he had never seen before. Have you ever tried to open it a few times over the years? Zara admitted. But the locks are beyond anything I understand, and I was always too busy with paying customers to spend much time on it. Sometimes there are strange energy readings from inside, but nothing dangerous. Energy readings from a sealed room. Jack found that interesting rather than concerning. In his years of engineering, he had learned that unusual phenomena often led to useful discoveries. I can reduce the price a little more if the mystery room concerns you, Zara offered. No need, Jack said. I will take the shop as it is. Mysteries included. They shook hands in the human fashion, and then touched palms in the Altarian way to seal the agreement. Zara seemed relieved and grateful. Jack felt excited about the challenge ahead. I can stay for a few days to show you how everything works, Zara offered. Some of these machines have their own personalities and need to be handled just right. I would appreciate that, Jack replied. And if you ever want to come back and work on projects that interest you, the door will always be open. Zara looked surprised by the offer. You would want an old Altarian helping in your human shop. I would want an experienced mechanic helping in our shop, Jack corrected her. Experience and wisdom do not have species. As they finished the paperwork, Jack felt something he had not experienced in years. This was not just a business transaction. It was the beginning of something important. The old shop seemed to hum with potential, and the sealed room in the back promised mysteries yet to be solved. Outside, the station continued its rotation, and the stars wheeled slowly past the viewports. Jack Morrison had found his new home and his new purpose. Tomorrow, the real work would begin. 3 weeks later, Jack had settled into a comfortable routine at his new shop. Zara had stayed for the first week, teaching him the quirks of every machine and tool. The old equipment worked better than anything modern once you understood how to communicate with it properly. Business was slow, but steady. Word was spreading through the lower levels that someone could fix things. The automated services rejected as too old or too complicated. Jack found satisfaction in bringing broken machines back to life with patience and skill, rather than expensive replacement parts. On a busy morning, Jack was installing new power conduits to upgrade the shop electrical system when he heard a soft knock at the door. A young Nexilian female stood outside, looking nervous and hopeful at the same time. Maya was perhaps 25 in human years, with the pale green skin and graceful tentacle appendages that marked her species. She wore work clothes that had seen better days and carried a small toolkit that looked well used, but carefully maintained. "Excuse me, sir," Maya said, in accented but clear human standard. "I heard you might need help with technical work. I am a good engineer, and I learn fast." Jack set down his tools and studied the young alien. Her large eyes showed intelligence and determination. More importantly, her toolkit contained instruments he recognized as precision calibration devices. Someone had taught her to work with delicate systems. "What kind of engineering background do you have?" Jack asked. "I studied at the Nexilian Technical Institute before my family had to leave our homeworld," Maya explained. "I specialized in microelectronics and precision assembly. On our world, we built components for communication arrays and sensor networks." "Why did your family leave?" Maya looked down at her feet. "Political troubles. My father spoke against the military government, and we had to flee. We have been on New Geneva Station for 2 years now. I work whatever jobs I can find to help support my younger siblings." Jack recognized the quiet desperation of someone trying to hold their family together through difficult times. He had seen it before, among refugees and displaced workers throughout the galaxy. "Can you show me what you can do?" Maya brightened and pulled a small device from her toolkit. It was a microcalibrator that had been damaged, but she had repaired it with incredible skill. The work was so precise it was almost artistic. I fixed this for another shop, but they said Nexillian work was not trusted by human customers. Jack examined the calibrator closely. The repair work was flawless and showed a level of precision he rarely saw, even among experienced technicians. That is beautiful work. Anyone who does not trust this quality is a fool. Then you will give me a job? Maya asked, hopefully. I will give you a chance to earn a job, Jack corrected gently. Help me finish installing these power conduits, and we will see how we work together. Maya proved to be exactly what the shop needed. Her 4 tentacle appendages could reach into spaces too small for human hands and work with multiple tools simultaneously. More importantly, she had an intuitive understanding of how electronic systems functioned that complemented Jack's knowledge of mechanical engineering. By midday, they had the new power system installed and running perfectly. Jack was impressed not just by Maya's skill, but by her attitude. She asked questions when she did not understand something, but otherwise worked quietly and efficiently. You can start tomorrow morning, Jack told her, as they cleaned up. The pay is not much to begin with, but it will increase as business improves. Maya's eyes filled with tears of relief and gratitude. Thank you, sir. You will not regret this decision. That afternoon brought an unexpected visitor. A Corvan female named Luna appeared at the shop door just as Jack was preparing to close for the day. Luna's crystalline skin caught the light and seemed to glow with its own inner radiance. Her people were known for their ability to interface directly with electronic systems. I heard interesting things about this shop, Luna said without preamble. Old equipment that still works better than new machines. Problems solved with skill rather than replacement parts. Word travels fast, Jack replied. What brings a to the lower commercial district? Curiosity, Luna admitted. And perhaps opportunity. I specialize in systems integration and diagnostic work. The automated services cannot do what I can do, but most shops want workers who look more human. Jack had heard about discrimination against some alien species, but had hoped it was exaggerated. What exactly can you do that others cannot? Luna approached the main diagnostic console that Zara had left behind. Without touching any controls, she placed her hands near the surface and closed her eyes. The console came alive with readings and displays that Jack had never seen before. I can communicate directly with electronic systems, Luna explained. Feel their condition and understand their problems without running standard diagnostics. It is faster and more accurate than conventional methods. Jack watched in fascination as Luna interfaced with machine after machine around the shop. She could identify problems that had not yet caused failures and optimize systems for better performance. It was like watching someone speak a language he had never heard before. That is remarkable, Jack said honestly. But I should warn you that I just hired Maya, and business is not yet strong enough to support many employees. I do not need steady employment, Luna replied. I work as a consultant. You call me when you have problems that need my particular skills and pay me for results, rather than time. It seemed like a fair arrangement. Luna gave Jack her contact information and left with a promise to return when needed. The next morning, Jack and Maya were working on a particularly challenging repair job when something unexpected happened. Jack was running new power cables behind the main workbench when his tools struck something hard inside the wall. That should not be there, Jack muttered as he pulled away the access panel for a better look. Behind the panel was a section of the same composite metal that made up the sealed storage room door. As Jack examined it more closely, he realized the wall panel was actually part of an elaborate locking mechanism that extended throughout the shop structure. Maya, come look at this, Jack called. Your precision work might be needed here. Maya slithered over and examined the mechanism with her enhanced vision. This is very sophisticated engineering. The locking system is integrated into the station power grid, but uses protocols I do not recognize. Jack stared at the mechanism thoughtfully. In his years of starship engineering, he had learned that most systems had manual overrides for emergencies. What happens if we trace these power connections back to their source? Maya tentacles moved delicately through the mechanism, mapping its structure. The connections lead toward the sealed room, but they also connect to the main station power grid. If we could interrupt the power flow at exactly the right moment, the locks might reset to their default position, Jack finished, which would probably be open, since most emergency systems are designed to fail safe. They spent the rest of the morning carefully tracing power connections and mapping the locking system. It was more complex than anything Jack had seen before, but the basic principles were sound. Someone had built an incredibly sophisticated security system, using technology that seemed both advanced and ancient at the same time. "I think we can do this," Maya said finally. "But I want to call Luna. Her ability to interface with electronic systems might help us understand what we are dealing with." Luna arrived within an hour and immediately began examining the locking mechanism with her unique abilities. Her crystalline skin glowed brighter as she interfaced with the system, and her expression grew increasingly puzzled. "This is very strange," Luna reported. "The system is definitely powered and active, but it is also waiting for something, like it wants to be opened, but only under the right conditions." "What kind of conditions?" Jack asked. "I am not sure. The protocols are unlike anything I have encountered before, but I think if we interrupt the power flow in the right sequence, the system will interpret it as an authorized access attempt." Jack made the decision quickly. "Let us try it. If something goes wrong, we can always restore power and try a different approach." Maya and Luna worked together to map the exact power interruption sequence needed. Jack stood ready at the main power controls. When they gave the signal, he cut power to the specific circuits they had identified. For a moment, nothing happened. Then throughout the shop they heard the sound of mechanisms moving inside the walls. Ancient motors whirred to life and heavy locks disengaged with solid clicks. The door to the sealed storage room swung open silently. Jack, Maya, and Luna stood, staring into a room that contained equipment unlike anything they had ever seen. Pristine machines hummed with quiet power, and displays showed symbols and readouts in languages none of them recognized. "What do you think it is?" Maya whispered. Jack stepped carefully into the room and approached the nearest console. The equipment looked incredibly advanced, but also somehow familiar. Like someone had taken principles he understood and developed them far beyond anything current science could achieve. Luna followed him into the room and immediately began interfacing with the systems. Her skin glowed brightly as she made contact, and her eyes widened with shock. "Jack," she said in a voice filled with wonder and disbelief, "You need to see this. According to these systems, we just received a work order, a repair request that was submitted in the year 3201. Jack stared at the display Luna was interfacing with and tried to make sense of what he was seeing. The symbols were alien, but somehow his engineering mind could parse their meaning. A work order requesting repair of something called a temporal navigation core for a vessel named Destiny Edge. "The date stamp cannot be correct," Jack said slowly. "That would be over 300 years in the future." Maya had joined them in the mysterious room and was examining other equipment with her precise vision. "The technology here does not match anything in our current databases. Some of these designs use principles I have never seen before." Luna continued her interface with the main console while her crystalline skin pulsed with different colors. "The work order is definitely real. It includes detailed technical specifications and repair procedures. But Jack is right about the timeline. This request was submitted from the year 3201. Jack walked around the room examining each piece of equipment carefully. His years of experience told him the machines were functional and well-maintained, despite being sealed away for decades. Someone built this workshop and hid it for a reason. The question is whether we are supposed to find it now, or if this is all some kind of mistake. Their discussion was interrupted by a knock at the main shop door. Jack left Maya and Luna to continue studying the equipment, while he went to greet what he hoped was a paying customer. Instead, he found Kate Anderson, a human woman in her early 30s, wearing the practical clothes of someone who spent time on archaeological sites. She had short brown hair, and the kind of focused intelligence that came from years of solving complex puzzles. "Mr. Morrison," Kate said with barely contained excitement. "I am a xenoarchaeologist with the University of Proxima. I have been monitoring energy signatures throughout this sector, and something very unusual is happening in your shop." Jack tried to keep his expression neutral. "Just normal repair work. Nothing that should interest an archaeologist." Kate smiled knowingly. "Mr. Morrison, temporal energy signatures are not normal repair work. I have spent my career studying ancient technologies, and what I am detecting here is remarkable. If you have discovered some kind of temporal artifact, it should be studied properly." Jack studied the young woman carefully. She seemed genuine, and her credentials checked out when he looked her up on the station network. More importantly, she appeared to be acting independently rather than representing some corporate or government interest. "Suppose I had found something unusual," Jack said carefully. "What would be your recommendation? Study it carefully before anyone else finds out about it," Kate replied immediately. "Temporal technology is incredibly dangerous in the wrong hands. The major corporations would weaponize it without understanding the consequences." That decided Jack. He led Kate back to the sealed room, where Maya and Luna were deep in technical discussions. Kate's eyes widened when she saw the advanced equipment, and her excitement was obvious. "This is incredible," Kate breathed as she examined the consoles. "The energy patterns suggest this technology can actually manipulate temporal flows. Do you have any idea what you have discovered?" Luna looked up from her interface work. "We have a work order from the year 3201 requesting repair of a temporal navigation core. The specifications are detailed, but they reference technologies and materials that do not exist yet." Kate studied the work order display with growing amazement. A temporal navigation core would allow a ship to travel through time, as well as space. But the energy requirements would be enormous, and the technical challenges are beyond current science, maybe beyond current science, but not beyond future science, Jack pointed out. If this work order is genuine, then someone in the year 3201 has solved those problems. They are asking us to repair something they built with knowledge we do not have yet. Maya tentacles moved rapidly as she accessed additional displays. The work order includes complete technical schematics. It shows how to build the temporal core and how to repair the specific damage described in the request. But it also shows components and materials that have not been invented yet, Luna added from her interface connection. "We would need to develop entirely new technologies just to begin this repair." Kate was taking detailed notes and recordings. "This raises fascinating questions about temporal mechanics. If the work order exists in our present, then the timeline must be stable enough to guarantee we will eventually complete the repair. But that assumes temporal paradoxes are impossible." Their discussion was interrupted by heavy footsteps in the main shop. A large figure appeared in the doorway of the secret room, and Jack immediately recognized the distinctive armor and bearing of a Dramani warrior. Vera stood nearly 7 feet tall, with the gray skin and pronounced bone ridges that marked her species. Dramani were known throughout the galaxy for their skill in engineering and their uncompromising sense of honor. She examined the group with intelligent red eyes before speaking. "I am Vera, of the Dramani Engineering Guild," she announced in a voice that carried absolute authority. "We have detected temporal energy signatures from this location. Such technology represents either a great opportunity or a great danger." Jack stepped forward to meet her gaze directly. Dramani respected strength and directness above all else. "What business does the Engineering Guild have with my shop?" "The Guild monitors development of advanced technologies throughout this sector," Vera replied. "Temporal manipulation has the potential to destabilize entire civilizations. We must determine whether you are developing such technology responsibly." Kate spoke up before Jack could respond. "We are studying the technology, not developing it. This equipment was already here when Mr. Morrison purchased the shop." Vera examined the equipment with an expert eye. Dramani engineers built parts of this system. I recognize our construction techniques in the temporal stabilization matrix. But these components are far more advanced than anything my people have created. Your people will create them, Luna corrected from her interface position. According to these schematics, Dramani engineering will be crucial to making temporal navigation possible. Your descendants will solve problems that current science cannot even understand. Jack watched Vera's reaction carefully. Dramani took great pride in their engineering achievements, and the prospect of their people making such advances would appeal to her. We could use someone with advanced engineering knowledge to help us understand what we are dealing with. Vera considered this for a long moment. The Guild cannot officially sanction this project until we understand its implications, but I can provide consultation in my individual capacity. If my people truly contributed to this technology, then I have an obligation to see it handled properly.
What?
About the work order itself, Maya asked. Do we try to complete the repair, even though it seems impossible with current technology? Kate looked up from her study of the schematics. The work order exists, which means we will eventually complete it. The question is whether we should start now, or wait until our technology advances naturally. The energy patterns suggest urgency, Luna reported. Whatever timeline sent this work order may depend on us completing the repair as soon as possible. Jack made the decision with the confidence that had served him well throughout his engineering career. We start now. We study these schematics and figure out what we can build with current technology. When we reach our limits, we develop new approaches. Vera nodded approvingly. A proper engineering approach. Begin with what you know and advance, one step at a time. Over the following days, the team worked together to understand the temporal navigation core design. Kate provided historical context and theoretical framework, while Maya's precision skills proved invaluable for understanding the technical details. Luna could interface directly with the alien computers to access deeper levels of information, and Vera brought the systematic approach of Dramani. Engineering. Jack found himself coordinating between very different personalities and ways of thinking. Kate approached problems with scientific curiosity, while Vera demanded practical solutions. Maya worked with artistic precision while Luna operated on an intuitive level that others sometimes found difficult to follow. But gradually they began to make progress. The temporal core design was incredibly complex, but based on principles that extended naturally from current scientific knowledge. The challenge was not understanding the theory, but developing the practical techniques needed to build such an advanced device. We can create about 60% of the components using existing technology, Vera reported, after a detailed analysis. The remaining 40% will require materials and manufacturing techniques that do not exist yet. Then we develop those techniques, Jack said simply. We have detailed specifications showing exactly what needs to be created. We just need to figure out how to create it. Kate was studying the broader implications of their discovery. If we succeed in building this temporal core, we will be advancing human and alien technology by centuries. The knowledge gained from this project could transform entire civilizations, which is exactly why we need to be careful about who else learns of this project, Maya pointed out. There are organizations that would kill to possess this technology. As if summoned by her words, the shop communication system chimed with an incoming message. The display showed the corporate logo of Stellar Dynamics, one of the largest technology corporations in the galaxy. The message was brief and direct. Stellar Dynamics had detected unusual energy signatures from Jack's shop and wanted to schedule a consultation to discuss potential business opportunities. The tone was polite, but Jack could read the implied threat underneath. Trouble, Vera said. Simply that. Jack looked around at his unlikely team of human and alien engineers working together on technology that could change the galaxy. Then we work faster. If Stellar Dynamics wants this technology, they will have to go through all of us to get it. 2 days after the message from Stellar Dynamics, a woman appeared at Jack's shop, who changed everything they thought they knew about their situation. Grace Williams looked like an ordinary human businesswoman in her 40s, but something in her eyes suggested she had seen more than most corporate executives. "Mr. Morrison," Grace said after checking to make sure they were alone, "we need to talk about stellar dynamics and what they really want from your shop." Jack studied her carefully. Grace wore expensive clothes, but her hands showed calluses that came from real work. More importantly, she moved with the careful awareness of someone who had learned to watch for danger. "And you are someone who used to work for Stellar Dynamics." "Until I learned what kind of company they really are," Grace replied. "I specialize in acquiring advanced technologies for analysis and development, or at least I used to." "What changed your mind?" Grace's expression hardened. "I discovered that Stellar Dynamics does not just acquire technology. They eliminate anyone who might compete with them or reveal their methods. I have seen entire research teams disappear after developing something the company wanted." Jack felt a chill that had nothing to do with the station. "Environmental systems. What do they know about our project?" "More than you might think," Grace admitted. "They have been monitoring temporal energy signatures throughout this sector for months. When your equipment activated, it sent signals. They were waiting for Maya emerged from the secret room where she had been working on component analysis." "Jack, we need to discuss the latest schematics. Some of these manufacturing processes are more complex than we thought." Gray's eyes widened when she saw Maya and then narrowed with professional assessment. "An Exilian precision engineer. Stellar Dynamics would pay millions to acquire someone with her skills. They cannot acquire people," Maya said with alarm in her voice. "They can, and they do," Grace replied grimly. "Stellar Dynamics has private security forces and legal teams that can make problems disappear. If they decide your technology is valuable enough, they will find ways to take control of this shop, and everyone in it." Jack made a quick decision. "Maya, get the others. We need to know exactly what we are dealing with soon." The entire team was gathered in the main shop, while Grace explained the true nature of their situation. Kate took notes while Vera listened with the grim attention of a warrior, assessing a threat. Luna maintained her interface with the shop systems and reported increasing corporate surveillance activity around their location. "Stellar Dynamics has a standard approach to acquiring advanced technology," Grace explained. "First, they try to buy you out with offers that seem generous. When that fails, they use legal pressure and regulatory challenges. If those methods do not work, they resort to more direct approaches such as Vera asked with dangerous calm. Industrial accidents. Regulatory raids that seize equipment for safety violations. Sometimes key personnel simply disappear and turn up months later, working for Stellar Dynamics subsidiaries with no memory of their previous projects." Kate looked up from her notes. "Memory modification is illegal under galactic law. Only if you can prove it happened," Grace replied. "Stellar Dynamics has resources that most governments cannot match. They operate their own research facilities in sectors where local law enforcement cannot interfere." Jack felt anger building in his chest. He had spent 35 years keeping crews alive in deep space and had no patience for bullies who threatened innocent people. "How long do we have before they make their move?" "Days. At most," Grace answered. "They are already preparing legal documentation to claim your shop poses a safety hazard to the station. Once they have a court order, they can seize everything and sort out the details later." Luna looked up from her interface work with an expression of alarm. "Jack, I am detecting multiple surveillance devices that have been planted around the shop perimeter. We are being watched constantly." Maya tentacles curled with stress. "My family lives on this station. If Stellar Dynamics threatens them to get to me, they will not get that chance," Jack said firmly. "We finish this project now before they can stop us." "That may not be possible," Vera pointed out. "We still need components that require technologies we have not developed yet." Grace had been studying the technical displays while they talked. "What if I told you that Stellar Dynamics already has some of those technologies in their advanced research facilities?" "You mean steal them?" Kate asked. I mean recover technologies that Stellar Dynamics stole from other researchers, Grace corrected. I know where they keep confiscated equipment, and I know how their security systems work, Jack considered the implications. Breaking into a corporate facility would make them criminals, but allowing Stellar Dynamics to steal their project would be worse. What would you need from us? Technical specifications for exactly what components we need, and someone who can identify the right equipment when we find it, Grace replied. Maya precision skills would be perfect for the job. Too dangerous, Jack said immediately. If they capture Maya, if we do nothing they will capture all of us, Grace pointed out. At least this way we have a chance to complete the project before they can stop us. Their discussion was interrupted by an urgent chime from Luna, interface connection. Jack, we have a new problem. I am receiving another temporal communication, but this one is different. Luna's skin pulsed with rapid color changes as she processed the incoming data. This message is from the year 3201, but it is not another work order. It is a warning. What kind of warning? Kate asked. The future timeline knows about Stellar Dynamics, interference with our project. They are sending us information about corporate plans and countermeasures we can use. Nina stepped through the shop doorway at that moment, as if summoned by the temporal communication. Nina was a Sean with the characteristic elongated features and silver hair of her people, but most importantly a Sean experienced time differently than other species, which made them natural experts in temporal mechanics. I felt the temporal disturbance from across the station, Nina said, without preamble. Someone is manipulating timeline communications, and the effects are becoming unstable. Jack looked around at his growing team of allies. Can you help us understand what we are dealing with? Nina approached Luna interface position and immediately began working with the temporal communication systems. Her silver hair seemed to glow as she made contact with the technology. The timeline is sending you more than warnings. They are providing technical specifications for equipment that will help you complete the project faster. Equipment we can build with current technology? Maya asked hopefully. Equipment that uses current technology in ways no one has thought of before, Nina corrected. Your future selves have found solutions to problems you have not encountered yet. Grace was studying tactical displays that showed increasing corporate activity around the station. We are running out of time. Stellar Dynamics security teams are moving into position, and I detect legal documents being filed with station administration. Then we stop playing defense and start playing offense, Jack decided. Grace, tell us exactly what you need for your mission to recover those components. Nina, help us understand these future technical specifications. Everyone else prepare for the possibility that we will have to defend this shop. Over the next several hours they worked with desperate efficiency. Grace and Maya planned their infiltration of the Stellar Dynamics facility, while Nina helped them understand advanced temporal engineering techniques. Kate documented everything for future reference, while Vera began preparing defensive measures, using the shop's extensive collection of old but functional equipment. The future specifications are remarkable, Nina reported. They show how to build temporal stabilization fields using standard gravity generators and how to create temporal navigation matrices using modified hyperdrive components we already have in the shop inventory, Maya added with excitement. We can build 60% more of the temporal core using equipment we already own. Jack felt hope building despite their dangerous situation. How long to complete construction? If we have all the necessary components, 18 hours of continuous work, Vera estimated, after reviewing the technical requirements. But only if we can acquire the missing components before Stellar Dynamics stops us. Grace checked her tactical equipment one final time. Then Maya and I leave now, while they are still focused on legal approaches. Once they realize we are actively building the temporal core, they will escalate to direct action. Be careful, Jack said simply. This technology is not worth anyone getting hurt, Grace smiled grimly. Mr. Morrison, this technology could prevent a future catastrophe that will threaten the entire galaxy. It is worth any risk necessary to see it completed, as Grace and Maya, left for their dangerous mission Luna, detected increased temporal communication activity. Jack, the future timeline is sending more information. They know about Grace's mission, and they are providing her with security codes and facility layouts. The future is helping us succeed, Kate observed, which suggests our actions are part of a stable timeline loop, or we are creating a paradox that will destroy causality as we know it, Nina added cheerfully. Temporal mechanics are wonderfully unpredictable. Jack looked around at his unlikely team of human and alien engineers working together against impossible odds. Outside, corporate security forces were moving to steal their work, while inside they raced to complete technology that would not be invented for centuries. Either way, Jack said with grim determination, we see this through to the end. Grace and Maya returned to the shop 6 hours later, carrying cases of components that looked like they belonged in a museum of future technology. Maya's tentacles trembled with excitement as she began unpacking precision instruments and temporal field generators that should not have existed for decades. The Stellar Dynamics facility was exactly where the future information said it would be, Grace reported. Their security was focused on keeping people out, but not on preventing people from removing equipment they had already stolen. These components are perfect, Maya announced as she examined each piece with her enhanced vision. Some of them are prototypes that Stellar Dynamics developed from technologies they confiscated from other researchers. Nina was interfacing with the temporal communication system, and her expression grew increasingly concerned. Jack, we have a problem. The timeline distortions are becoming more severe. Multiple future timelines are now trying to communicate with us simultaneously. What does that mean? Kate asked while documenting the new components. It means our actions are creating timeline instabilities, Nina explained. The future is no longer certain. Multiple possible outcomes are competing for dominance. Luna looked up from her interface work with alarm. I am detecting massive energy signatures approaching the station. Multiple corporate security vessels are moving into position around New Geneva Station. Vera had been monitoring station security channels, and her expression was grim. Stellar Dynamics has filed emergency injunctions, claiming this shop poses an immediate danger to station safety. They have authorization to seize all equipment and personnel for protective custody. Jack felt the familiar calm that came in crisis situations. How long before they arrive? 20 minutes, Vera replied. But I have been preparing defenses using the shop vintage equipment. Some of these old machines can be repurposed in ways corporate security will not expect. Jack looked around at his team. Maya was already beginning assembly of the most critical temporal core components. Nina continued her work with the timeline communications, while Kate documented everything for posterity. Grace was checking her corporate intelligence sources, and Vera was activating defensive systems throughout the shop. We finished this, Jack decided. Maya, how long to complete the temporal navigation core? 12 hours with the new components, Maya replied, without looking up from her precision work. But only if we can maintain power and workspace during that time. The shop will hold, Vera stated, with absolute confidence. I have modified the old power systems to create defensive energy barriers. The vintage equipment may be obsolete, but it was built to survive conditions that would destroy modern systems. Luna suddenly straightened as new information flowed through her interface connection. Jack, I am receiving priority communications from the year 3201. The Destiny Edge is requesting immediate assistance. The ship from the original work order, Kate asked. According to this communication, the Destiny Edge is trapped in a temporal rift that formed in the year 3201. The rift is expanding backwards through time and will reach our era within hours unless the temporal navigation core is completed. Nina processed this information with her unique temporal perception. The timeline instabilities we are detecting are not caused by our actions. They are caused by the temporal rift expanding into our time period. We are not creating a paradox, we are preventing one. Jack felt everything click into place with the certainty of an engineer who finally understood how all the pieces fit together. The work order was not sent to us randomly. Someone in the future calculated that our specific team would be the only ones capable of completing this repair under these exact circumstances. Grace monitoring equipment detected the first corporate security teams entering the lower levels of the station. Stellar Dynamics forces are moving fast. They know something significant is happening and they want to control it. Let them come, Vera said, as ancient weapon systems came online throughout the shop. This equipment survived the resource wars and the expansion conflicts. It will survive. Corporate security forces. Maya's work had reached a critical phase as she began integrating the temporal field generators with the navigation matrix. Her tentacles moved with incredible precision while sweat beaded on her green skin. The temporal core is responding to the assembly process. I can feel the field alignments stabilizing, Nina reported, increasing temporal activity. Multiple timeline communications are now providing real-time technical support. The future knows exactly what we are doing, and they are helping us optimize every step the first security teams reached the shop perimeter and immediately encountered Vera defensive preparations. Energy barriers flared to life as corporate weapons struck shields powered by equipment that predated their attackers by decades. The old systems held firm while newer corporate technology overloaded from the unexpected resistance. Their modern weapons are designed for efficiency, not durability, Vera explained as she coordinated the shop defenses. Our vintage equipment uses brute force approaches that can absorb damage their systems cannot handle. Kate was amazed by what she was witnessing. The corporate forces have numerical superiority and advanced technology, but they cannot break through. Defenses built from obsolete equipment, not obsolete, Jack corrected, as he assisted Maya with the most delicate assembly work. Experienced, these machines have survived everything the galaxy could throw at them. They know how to endure. Luna detected new developments as more corporate forces arrived. Stellar Dynamics is bringing heavy assault equipment. They are treating this as a military operation rather than a business acquisition because they know what we are really building, Grace realized. Someone in their organization understands the implications of temporal navigation technology. Maya announced a crucial milestone. The temporal navigation core is 80% complete. The field generators are synchronized, and the navigation matrix is accepting input from the future timeline. Nina temporal perception detected something remarkable. Jack, the timeline rift is responding to our work. As we complete more of the temporal core, the rift expansion is slowing down. We are actually fixing a problem that has not happened yet, Kate marveled as she recorded the unprecedented temporal mechanics. The corporate assault intensified as stellar dynamics forces realized they were losing their window of opportunity. Heavy weapons struck the shop energy barriers while assault teams tried to find weak points in the perimeter defenses. Vera coordinated the response with the calm efficiency of a warrior who had faced worse odds. The barriers are holding, but we cannot maintain this level of energy output indefinitely. How much longer for completion? 4 hours, Maya replied, while installing the final precision components. But the most critical phase is just beginning. Any interruption now could cause catastrophic feedback through the temporal field matrix. Jack made the decision that would define the rest of his life. Vera extend the barriers to maximum range. Luna interface with station traffic control and lock down all approach vectors. Grace monitor corporate communications and anticipate their next moves. Kate document everything because future generations will need to understand what happened here. What about you? Nina asked. I helped Maya complete the most important repair job in galactic history, Jack replied as he began the final assembly sequence. The next 4 hours passed in a blur of precision. Engineering punctuated by the sounds of battle outside the shop barriers. Maya and Jack worked together with the perfect coordination of master craftsmen, while their friends held off forces that could have conquered small planets. Nina provided constant updates on temporal conditions, while Luna maintained communication with both the shop systems and the future timeline. Kate recorded every step of the process and Grace tracked corporate movements to anticipate new threats. As Maya installed the final component, the temporal navigation core came fully online with a deep harmonic resonance that seemed to reach into the fundamental structure of space and time. Throughout the shop, displays showed the successful completion of a work order that had been submitted 354 years in the future. Temporal core is fully functional, Maya announced with exhausted triumph. All systems show optimal performance parameters. Nina reported the most important news of all. The timeline rift has stopped expanding. The temporal distortions are stabilizing throughout this time period. Outside the shop, the corporate assault suddenly ceased as stellar dynamics forces received new orders. Grace monitoring equipment detected massive energy signatures as something large materialized near New Geneva Station. Luna interface connection showed them what was happening. The Destiny Edge had arrived from the year 3201 using the temporal navigation core they had just completed. The sleek vessel appeared impossibly advanced even to their enhanced perspective. A communication from the Destiny Edge reached the shop on channels that should not have existed yet. The message was simple and grateful. The repair work had been completed successfully, and the temporal rift crisis had been resolved. The timeline was stable, and the future was secure. Jack looked around at his remarkable team of human and alien engineers who had accomplished something that should have been impossible. Maya was exhausted, but smiling with the satisfaction of perfect craftsmanship. Nina glowed with temporal energies as she monitored the stabilizing timeline. Kate was already planning the research papers that would revolutionize temporal mechanics. Grace was coordinating with station security to deal with the defeated corporate forces. Vera was powering down defensive systems with the calm pride of a warrior who had protected her comrades. "What happens now?" Luna asked as she began shutting down the interface connections. Jack considered the question carefully. The shop now contained technology that would not be invented for centuries, and knowledge that could transform galactic civilization. They had proven that humans and aliens could work together to solve problems that no single species could handle alone. "Now, we become what we were always meant to be," Jack replied. "A place where the old ways and the new ways come together. Where experience and innovation create solutions to problems that seem impossible." Zara appeared in the doorway at that moment, as if summoned by his words. The elderly Eltarian looked healthier and stronger than she had in years. "I felt the temporal energies from across the station. Something wonderful has happened here. The shop saved the future," Maya explained simply. "And the future saved the shop." Jack realized that his retirement had become something far more important than he had ever imagined. The little repair shop in the lower levels of New Geneva Station was now the birthplace of temporal engineering, and a symbol of what different species could accomplish when they worked together. "We have work to do," Jack announced, as he looked around at his extraordinary team. "The future is counting on us to train the engineers who will build the technology. We used to save them. This is where the old ways meet the new ways, and where impossible problems become routine." Repairs outside the station, the Destiny Edge prepared to return to its own time period, carrying the knowledge that the temporal crisis had been resolved by a retired human engineer and his remarkable alien colleagues. The timeline was stable, the future was secure, and in a small repair shop in the lower commercial district, the real work was just beginning.